growth, success of an entrepreneur.
We've raised the bar.
Learn firsthand from successful business owners and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, you Road Truth listeners. Today I got Cody. He is the owner of Science Natural Supplements. Thank you, Cody, for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This is a pretty, I think, an intriguing one, just on the aspect of like legality. I'm watching a lot of Shark Tank lately, and I know how they look on that kind of stuff. So it's always interesting. So there's probably gonna be questions that I might, for my own personal reasons, kind of talk to you about, but look forward to this. Before we get going, I know that you started doing some coaching stuff. So if people are listening right now and they're looking to get into the supplement business, that might be an avenue that they could reach out to you about, right?
Correct. Yes.
So let's walk us through what is, and I think it's self-explanatory, but walk us through what Science Natural Supplements offers.
Yeah, definitely. So in 2015, I owned a gym in San Diego. I was teaching kettlebells, and some of my students kept bringing in supplements that were incredibly expensive, paying $80 for a tub of protein powder that had 8 grams of protein per serving. I was annoyed, so I went in the hunt for a manufacturer to actually buy get products for my my clients. And I was hanging out with my brother on vacation, a family vacation, and he's like, "Turmeric to be the next big thing." So I was like, "Huh, interesting." And I found a manufacturer for that. Built a sales page, those long form 10,000 word sales pages. In the sales page, talk about the story of literally how my dad's doctor told him to go eat turmeric to help him with his inflammation and his joint pain and his shoulder pain, things along those lines. And so we did a bunch of research. My dad took it for a little bit. He's really anti-supplement, so he just stopped taking it after a while. And I don't know, it's his own thing. But the actual brand took off, and it did $2.5 million the first year, $4 million the second year, $6 million after that. In 2020, we did almost $20 million. And in my career, it's been over 60. And in that time, basically, I realized I've made millions of dollars in mistakes, and I didn't want my friends and people in the industry who are jumping in and starting to make those same mistakes. So I now teach about 50 entrepreneurs how to build and launch their own supplement brands so they don't screw up like I did so many times.
Do the businesses feed each other, like the kettlebell business? Is that still around, or does that go away, or what happened?
No, that went away real quick. Unfortunately, at San Diego is where it was located at. There was literally 4 gyms in one complex, and we were the complex behind a complex behind a complex. So we weren't even convenient to get to, and it was so competitive that even having like 50 classes a week and a 4,000 square foot basically boutique gym and only charging $100 a month, I couldn't get people in the door. It was absolutely hard to keep people entertained because in San Diego, you just go to the beach, right? There's so many things you can do. So it was, that's long gone. It definitely helped, but ironically, students didn't really buy much, right? I brought in maybe $1,000 in inventory that I ended up like selling at a discount or giving away to people when they joined or something like that. But the real success came through affiliate marketing, which is getting people with similar businesses, similar programs, virtual coaches online, virtual supplement business online to promote me because I had a product that they didn't have, and paying them handsome commissions to get the customer and then turn around and selling the customers more.
Wow, nice. Well, walk us through your journey. I mean, so growing up, Cody, I mean, were you into fitness? Were you into nutrients? I mean, what was your background?
I was a chubby kid. So my parents didn't really yeah, exactly. Pizza, Mexican food, Taco Bell was the thing for me. I can go and have the extreme value meal and get like 3 of them. You know, it's just super healthy. Chug down that Mountain Dew. And as a kid, I wasn't very healthy. My parents weren't extremely athletic. Even in a beach town growing up, we didn't surf, we didn't do those kind of things. So we were just kind of the average American. And I was not ever happy with myself. I had a lot of body weight image issues, and my parents just told me it's just your genetics. No, it was carbs. And of course, in that time in the 90s, having carbs, low fat was bad. Carbs were good. So I was definitely, as a child, fed the wrong things constantly based on lies in the media. High school, realized that carbs are bad. Exercise came from there, went going further. The supplement business came, like I said, because of the gym, and I wanted to make sure it was right. Before that, I was doing sales for U.S. food service, so I'd learned how to sell, learned how to talk and communicate, learned a lot about inventory management that helped me at the beginning for sure with my brand as well. I've always been a sales guy and a talker. I definitely won all the magazine and chocolate contests in middle school and in playing in baseball as a kid. So, always been very much one to want to sell my idea to someone and share the concept. And for me, starting the supplement brand, it was really about finding something I had passion for and something I cared about and knowledge, and was interested in talking about on a daily basis. And that's when I landed the supplement business and got really excited about it.
So the kettlebell business, when you first started that, I mean, were you a personal trainer, or what was that process like? So I know you were getting your health better. The stuff that you were being told was not true, but when did that kind of click that was like, okay, I'm gonna actually go on this journey?
Yeah, it almost happened in high school. Like I was going to 24-hour fitness, and I loved the turbo kickboxing classes, probably because they had an attractive teacher who teaching the class. But I almost went to the certification, right? I was really close to doing that when I was like 18, and I ended up saying no, and I just did college and went to San Diego State and did that. But when I was at San Diego State, I came home for spring break once. My brother had 2 kettlebells, and I played with them, and he kind of showed me how to use it, not very well, but I was just like, I was addicted to it. That movement of driving your hips, that explosive cardiovascular strength training movement was so exciting for me that I wanted it. I wanted more of it. The second I graduated, lo and behold, a boutique gym in La Jolla opened up, which was about 3 miles from my house in San Diego. And I was just like sold on it, went in there. There were some amazing trainers, like world-renowned fitness trainers there who were teaching, because there was very few kettlebell gyms. And then I just went through the certification process and I started teaching there. And it was just kind of my, after hours hobby, because what else do you do when you're 21? You drink, or you work out and hang out with your friends, right? So I just chose to work out more if I could. And then after that, the gym closed because the lady was basically a wife of a billionaire. And I think at one point it just didn't make sense for her and her family to have that anymore. And I basically asked if I could have some of the clients, and I messaged them all and started my gym after that. And from there, it kind of just became my full-time life and my business. And I accepted the fact that as a trainer, I wasn't going to make a ton of money, and got burned out of that after a while. And that's when the whole supplement brand and business kind of came to be, around the same time my customers started bringing in those terrible Herbalife products.
So was a consistent flow of success? I mean, it sounds like it was pretty smooth sailing. Or, I mean, what happened there and kind of building?
I'm relentless, and I will push through until it works. And that's the key to any kind of business, as you know, right? You can't just start something and think you're going to be successful. And if you are, it's called a unicorn, and usually it only happens once. And you have to make sure you're building systems around it. So a lot of it for me was trying to understand what people who were doing better. I went to coaching communities for gyms, right? I learned their processes. I tried to figure out what they were doing. I tried to replicate it in San Diego, in the San Diego way. It didn't turn out to be as easy as I hoped it to be. And then with the supplement business, it kind of was an instant success. I mean, it took me a year to get it off the ground, and I probably invested 20 grand on my credit cards and was a little upside down in debt for a hot moment. But when I did launch, I was lucky enough to have already embedded myself in affiliate communities, people willing to promote me and share my business, share my offer. And when it did so well that they couldn't not promote me, it was kind of a simple win. But, after that, I've made mistakes. I have probably lost well over $1 million. I've done some huge rookie moves. I tried to, follow the shiny objects. Hey, I made one thing work, I could make 5 more work. No, I should have just stayed focused on the initial business, the initial offer, what I was doing, as opposed to keep trying to branch out. So I definitely have made a host of mistakes, but I think the key to it all is that I just didn't stop going forward. You hit a roadblock. Okay, cool. Why'd that roadblock happen? How do I avoid it again? And how do I get around it right now?
What has driven you? I mean, because it sounds like, if you're that's tenacity to kind of push forward, what has driven you?
Yeah, for me, it's probably a fear of failure, right? I didn't grow up from a particularly wealthy family, very middle of the road. And I don't know, I the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? I read that book. That I'll never forget that, because my dad's, like, one of his best friends was Rich Dad, right? And my dad was the poor dad who worked for the schools. And so I definitely had a person in my life who, he built half of California Adventure, Disneyland, his construction company did. So, like, he was a really cool person to be able to talk to and listen to. And, I wasn't like friends with him or anything necessarily, but just to hear his little bit of wisdom all the time just was like a seed planting. And then reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad made me go, oh my gosh, I have to build my own business. I have to figure out how to not be a part of that rat race, how to get out of it, how to not have to be just a cog in the wheel. And then, of course, I worked for a big food distributor company and was a complete cog in the wheel and hated every minute of it and needed to escape that.
One of the things that always intrigued me, I had a personal trainer where he has a bunch of gyms, hardcore fitness, in San Diego. But one thing he told me was that those people on stage, those personal trainers that have like the best body are some of the ones that are the most insecure people, right? Because that's what kind of fights them and pushes them forward. So it's always intriguing to kind of see what drives people, and especially with failure, right? I mean, if you're insecure, you have to have something that you're pushing onto or pushing away from. So no, I appreciate the honesty there.
Yeah, and it's just, I really think it is just about the money thing, right?
Yeah.
We are all so fearful that we don't have enough. I'm terribly fearful of not having enough for retirement. I want to retire. Like, I'm not even close to that phase, but I definitely am concerned about it constantly. So that's kind of been my overarching internal fear in life. And I just, I don't have the luxury that my parents have with what they have with their retirement accounts. And my dad was part of a really good pension that takes care of him really well. And that doesn't exist anymore. And I kind of knew that as a kid that was never going to be the case. And I had to stand up and take care of myself because there's no one to take care of me, especially at the financial level that I want to be at.
Going back to the supplement brand in California, and are you still in California? Did you?
I am in Florida now. I've
Okay.
actually become a vagabond person. I go travel a lot of places, live a lot of places.
Well, so as you know, in California, there's so much lawsuits, legal stuff, and when I think of supplement brands, right, you hear about kind of all these rules, FDA and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, was there any kind of like, I'm kind of scared of, I don't want to get sued or anything like that, or just like go forward, we'll see how we deal with it later? Or what was that process like when you were kind of growing so fast?
Deal with it later, right? That was exactly it. I'll figure it out as it goes. When it explodes, I will try and catch the pieces and put it together in motion. So, my biggest issues were a lot more around technical issues, software issues, using the wrong systems, not hiring the right team. Those kinds of things were the main issues I ran into. But definitely the legal stuff. So let's kind of dive into that. So the FDA doesn't care about supplements. In the 80s, there's a documentary on Netflix about this, or PBS maybe. Anyway, there's documentaries about this. In the late 80s, there was an agreement between the FDA and the supplement industry that supplements, as long as they didn't claim that they could cure a disease, can do whatever the hell they want and not be bothered by the FDA, not questioned, right? Now, the manufacturing facilities have to be FDA registered to prove that they're building and manufacturing correctly and not like, making human growth hormones and then making kids vitamin C gummies right after that while cleaning the machines, right? You got to make sure it's legit and taken care of a good company, and they're using the, $500,000 encapsulation machines that actually work well. So that part is taken care of. On our side, we're not doing manufacturing. We don't own the products. We don't own the inventory anymore. It's all done in a manufacturer, shipped from the manufacturer. We're just basically the marketing arm of it. It's almost like drop shipping, white label drop shipping. That's what the supplement industry has become. And the fear there is FTC compliance, making sure that you're not saying things you shouldn't be. So in the direct marketing world that I come from, there's a few major platforms people sell on. ClickBank is one of them. Buy Goods is another. These companies have their own compliance team that makes sure that your page that you're promoting through them are fine and you're not saying things that you shouldn't. I've met a whole handful, fistfuls of lawyers who can help with this as well. And we definitely have them go through and give us compliance and be able to tell us what we can and can't say, or, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're going to get in trouble, where are you? And then where would you like to be to try and get there? And then from there, it's massaging the sales copy, the stories, the structure of the sales page into a way that doesn't ever get us in trouble or cause any major issues. So the biggest key to anything about supplements and health in general, whether it be nutrition or a gym or anything along those lines, is that you can't claim it helps disease. And this is really a money grab from the big pharma, making sure that they are the only ones that can cure diseases. And, eating healthy doesn't actually cure or help anything. It's just a way of life. So it's really about protecting their profits. But also it's because I think if they didn't have some kind of compliance guidelines, it would be impossible for any supplement company to exist. I mean, doing a health study is incredibly expensive. I couldn't afford to do one. I have to rely on studies that are already done through universities about particular supplements, or there's particular ingredients that are kind of expensive but have had studies done with them. So yeah, it's not very fearful as long as you are working with people who can review your compliance and making sure that you have not said anything about disease. And that's the biggest thing. And if you do see it on your page because your copywriter didn't listen to you, delete it as fast as you can, get it off there, because you just shouldn't be saying it. And I think the biggest issue today is is what the word disease means. It's starting to get more and more bloated in terms of what they claim a disease is. Like inflammation's a disease. Inflammation's a state of being, right? It's not a disease. It could become a disease when it's a massive problem, but that's the issue now, is where like joint pain can sometimes be considered a disease. It's a little silly how they're trying to grab more and protect more, of course, to protect big pharma.
So what's the turnaround time? Because you talked about putting systems in place, right? Of like when you're expansion, growing. I mean, even for, putting stuff online. I mean, what's that turnaround time of how long does it take from, hey, I have this idea, let's revamp our website, to actually implementing it?
Well, I mean, we can just kind of start from the longest time approach from just starting from scratch. So let's say you're like, hey, Cody, after this call, you're like, I want to start a supplement brand. I have this cool idea for a product that does X, Y, and Z. And here's the 3 ingredients that matter. And I know it because I've been taking these independently. I want to make my own formula. Boom. I'd introduce you to a manufacturer who could make that. I'd introduce you to a sales copywriter who could build it. And then from there, about 6 months later is when you'll be able to launch your offer. And I say that because we go in the direct marketing space in terms of writing these long form sales pages, these 10,000 word stories that help customers know, like, and trust you in one touch. And we do that because it's really expensive to try and just sell people on an e-commerce page over and over and over again, because it takes like 7, 10, 14 touches sometimes to be able to get them, and usually are not profitable until they reorder the third time. So we want to make sure that we can try and break even day one. And these long form sales pages really tell the story of the company. They tell the science behind the ingredients. They tell the story of the person that was helped, and usually from a testimonial from a client that we interview, and we'll go, oh, cool, your story's amazing. We're going to take it and we're going to, massage that story, make it sound really good. And that is what really helps build that. So 6 months to build an offer from scratch and getting it launched and getting it out to people to promote it.
What's a ballpark startup cost? Is there kind of a rough ballpark?
Yeah,
number?
yeah, definitely. So if you are a person who writes your own sales copy, which means you've written them professionally and they've made money, it's going to cost you $5,000 or $10,000 to launch a sick company. If not, that copy will cost you between $5,000 and $25,000. And this is, again, a 10,000 word story, so it's humongous. And there's a lot of research that goes into it. With ChatGTP, it makes it easier and faster today, of course, because they're able to get information quickly shoved together, and then they can do a lot more editing faster. But in order to work with someone who's going to deliver a page that will actually convert and work with people who read these types of sales pages, you're going to spend 20 grand. So I would figure $25,000 to $30,000 can get you an offer that will be $1 million offer. From launch to success, it may take you 2 or 3 months of just tweaking and adjusting, and like, hey, I need to make the price $29.95, not $99. I need to make the bottles 10% bigger. I need to change the headline to say, this is Susie's story and how she lost 20 pounds before her wedding, as opposed to saying, lose 20 pounds now, kind of thing. So little adjustments like that will help take it to that next level. But yeah, 6 months to launch, 30 grand to get it going. Probably another 3 months of tuning. And within the first 18 months, you probably can have $1 million offer, provided you don't stop and keep going.
How long have you been in the coaching business for?
We started coaching in late 2020. I was doing it for free because I had people in the industry who had worked for different companies that just went out and started their own, and they were friends of mine. And I'm like, hey, don't do this instead. And then after them coming back to me 30 times asking questions, I was like, I need to record all this. And then it kind of slowly turned into a coaching. And now we have 50 businesses. Their whole staffs are involved. And we teach copy, we teach marketing, we teach operations, we teach affiliate sales. And we just kind of cover the entire, gambit of the brand and company, giving someone an idea of everything they need to know to be successful in this business. Because it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's you're starting a business, which requires staff and people and intelligence.
For the consumer, what's the best way? Because I know we already talked about, like, the FDA is not really overseeing it, but what should someone be really looking for to make sure that, because there's not everyone's going to be probably like the morals that you've had, right? Where you're going to basically kind of provide that, right? So what should people look at to actually make sure they're not getting taken advantage of by a salesperson? I don't know. Yeah,
definitely. So here's the deal with supplements. They're all the same. They're all manufactured from a couple dozen manufacturers.
Okay.
And what you see at Costco is probably the same thing I've sold before, right? So, literally one of my manufacturers, I think, is like 35% of Amazon supplement sales. One manufacturer.
Oh, wow.
So there is nothing special about each individual product. If you're looking at the ingredient panel and it's similar or matches, get the better deal. Why waste your time and money? So if you're learning about something that's you're watching like a 20-minute video or sales presentation that's telling a story about how someone achieved something and changed, that's a sales presentation. You're being sold at that moment. Doesn't mean the product's not good. It just means you're being sold. So what I would encourage people to then take that information about those ingredients and do a little research themselves, right? There is, you type in, does this ingredient do anything on Google? It'll give you some ideas. You don't need to necessarily buy from that website, right? People see some of my websites and they're expensive. Fine. Go on Amazon, find competitive one. I have no care in the world if you do that or don't, right? We know there's 300 million people in the United States, and we're going to be able to sell some of them. Some of them want to buy from us because they know, like, and trust our brand, right? So it's just about trying to build that brand and build that trust there. But if you're a conscious shopper and you want to save money, you don't have to buy from a particular brand. You just got to find something with a good deal and the similar or same ingredients.
Is there a website that you kind of prefer where someone like does reviews? I know there's like Mr. Credit for like credit cards and things like that.
They're all crap. There's so many of them out there that actually are geared to just making money that they'll put the number one as the one that pays them the most. So that's a problem with a lot of review sites. So I would really avoid most review sites in general, unless there's something major that you see on, CNET or something like that. It's been around for a long time. No, they just don't really exist. So at that point, it's doing some research actually on the ingredients. So if someone's talking about like moringa's great for all these things, right? Moringa's great. We sell a ton of moringa. And if someone's making all these claims, you do a little research on Google. Type in scientific study about moringa and X, Y, whatever is being claimed or being told that can help with that particular issue. And then see what the study says. Read it yourself. There's these research articles online you can find and just learn from yourself. It's something you want to do. And then from there, grab the best deal of that product you can find. Go get it at Costco. Don't buy it from CVS. I don't like that company. I think they've had some shitty Chinese supplements I've heard before. I'm not sure if that's the case anymore. There was a hot minute when CVS was selling some shitty stuff.
So let's talk about where you plan to go. Where are you going to take all this? So you got the kettlebell, the supplement, the coaching. What's the next step after this?
So that's the interesting part about this industry. There's some people out there who are willing to buy these brands, but they're really about the team who runs them. And I've built an amazing team. We have over 40 people internationally, about 25 in the Philippines, 15 or so in North America. And I absolutely love working with them. It's my passion and excitement. I hope to one day to be able to gift a portion of the business to the staff and the team to be able to then walk away as retirement and have them continue to run the legacy of the company. Because we're not just Science Health Supplements. We're always building new brands and looking to build new brands. One of our new ones is Yum Supplements. It's a gummy brand, right? We found a great gummy manufacturer and we're just trying to offer deals on gummies because gummies are sold really expensive. We want to offer great deals. So Yum Supplements is one of our new ones. And I want the team to be able to take over from me at one point and run the company as if it's their own, because they'll all have some kind of stake in it. And that's my goal, because I could see selling this thing, netting a few $1 million, but I don't necessarily $2-3 million. It may sound like amazing money, but after taxes, it's not that much.
So what does the structure look like if you're trying to have your team take over the company? How do you build a game plan for that?
Yeah. So really, it's first off about building a strong team. So that's one of the biggest things we've been learning the last 3 years as a company is how to structure your company, right? You have a CEO on top, a COO who runs it. And then from there, you have to divide out your departments, your brands, your other sub companies into different structures and how they all work together. So we've just been slowly finding the right people in the company for the right roles and then looking as hard as we can for people outside to join. Hiring people from the outside has been tough versus, grooming and giving people higher positions. We've had a few wins and quite a few losses in terms of successes there. But it's just about building that right team and then letting them understand what their goals are for the company in terms of the company's profit, the company's revenue, whatever the goals may be, and making sure that they're achieving it and helping them build a structure that when I don't want to do anything besides be the board member one day, I can step away and just come in during quarterly meetings, learn what's going on, get an update from the accountant about my small portion of the company and how it's doing and move on. And that's kind of the goal, is to turn it to something very professionally run and the team understanding of what their roles are so that way they can crush it and earn their share.
I mean, going out the one that was kind of a trigger right there, the idea that so many failures, I guess, in the hiring process, you can usually learn from our failures. Are there like key things someone should probably not do when they're hiring that you've learned?
The biggest thing, there's two things: hire slow, fire fast. Right? That's a saying we've all heard before, and we all ignore because I fire slowly, and I'm not doing that ever again. So, the big thing I think is making sure the person's a cultural fit. Anyone can learn, but thinking you're going to bring someone in who's going to change the company outright and rebuild it, I think is a stretch. Now, obviously, we're not talking about huge Fortune 500 where you're bringing a CEO who's going to change the entire structure of the company and do crazy things, Uber-sized companies. On a small company, the culture matters. So I would encourage everyone to make sure that who they're hiring, the team hires them. The team agreeing on it. Your leadership team is the one who's like, yeah, I want that person a part of the company. Because without that, there's going to be a lot of friction and like, well, you hired this person, I don't even want them here kind of feeling. And we don't ever want to have that. We want to make sure that everyone feels like they're supposed to be there.
Got it. Thank you so much, Cody, for being on the podcast. If people are listening, they're looking to see what supplements you got going on, coaching, anything like that, what's the best way of them getting more information about you?
Yeah, definitely. CodyBramlett.com has got a little bit of information for me, or you can visit our coaching website, supplementmillionaire.com. It kind of goes over a video of everything we do and teach and how you can do it as well. It's not particularly complicated. We kind of make it simple. It just takes tenacity and not giving up because you have to see it through. So yeah.
Appreciate it. I'm going to just finish with one last question. I know you talked about that when you were younger, your dad said your body type was based off of, how you're born, that kind of stuff. How does he look at you now with what you build, being so much in the fitness industry, things like that? How does he look at you now?
I'd like to hope he's proud of me. I do love my dad to death. He's a great guy. I think he's been amazed about what we've been able to do. My brother's done something similar in the fitness world, and and we both just have tried our hardest to be able to build something, I think, that has a legacy within our team members, but hopefully within a greater community. And so hope he's proud of that.
I know I said that was the last question. Now I'm intrigued. So your brother's in the fitness industry also. Is there ever like a synergy kind of building brands together, or how does that work?
I've learned that working with family directly is way too complicated because you have 2 cooks in the kitchen. You have to make sure there's clear hierarchy of what's going on. In the beginning, we were much more similar in industry, so there'd be synergistic promotions of each other. But his company has since moved on to be more of a direct-to-consumer company. So he's doing much more of his own world and his own thing right now, which is quite impressive. And I wish him the best of luck. I'm an investor in his company, so I hope he crushes it as well.
Well, thank you, Cody, for being here. Hopefully everyone listening got some great nuggets. I mean, I know that saying of like, you're born that way, all that kind of stuff. Things can change. You just have a pathway, keep going forward, find out what your goal is. And for $30,000, I mean, if you're not a writer, to start your own nutrition brand, seems like a fairly good price right there to get going right there. So if you have some interest in going that direction, maybe you have another fitness brand or something like that, this might be the way to go. Thank you guys for listening. Go in the show notes and go find Cody. Bye, everyone.